right, I'll assume you counted it up, right?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. 200 instead of 199.
Correct.
All right. All right, is there anybody here from the complainant's family?
There are, Judge. Can we approach for 1 second
You
before
may.
we proceed further?
Carrie Balmerito, and Michael Stratford was my son.
Thank you for being here. What would you like to say to
No,
me?
thank you, Your Honor, for letting me speak. I'm not going to waste a lot of your time. I just wanted Wesley to know that your face, I mean, not Wesley, Adam, to know that your face is plastered everywhere and has been for several months. There is nowhere you can go in 5 months when you get out of jail. There's nowhere you can go. Nobody wants to be your neighbor. Everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows what crime you committed. There's nowhere to run anymore. Nowhere. And you might not have pulled the trigger, but what a personal thing to do what you did. The dismemberment, the mutilation. And you got away with it. I saw. Charges were dropped. Good for you. Good for your attorney. That's something to be proud of, isn't it? Well, this is the little girl that sits at home every day and cries. Do you know he's a single father? You knew that, Adam. This little girl was at your house 6 hours before your brother murdered him and you mutilated him. Do you know she quit talking? She doesn't speak anymore. She speaks as a 1-year-old. He had her potty trained at 2 and was so proud and told all you guys. She's back in a diaper. So you destroyed a little girl who cries every night for her daddy and has me now. I'm going to be mom and dad, and I have you to thank for that. So I just hope Michael's picture in Zayla's face, when you go on with your life like you get to do, I just hope that this burns, this picture, and Your Honor, I don't know, the pictures the prosecutor has, do the defendants ever get to see those pictures of the crimes?
I'm not sure whether he saw them or not. I'm not sure that's terribly important right now, Ms. Balmerito. Why don't you move on with your remarks rather than just throwing fuel on the fire?
For the young people that are here today, I don't want them to lose faith in the system like I did. I want them to have faith that the system's going to work. I don't want them to be let down. And I hope that justice will come out of this. And things will prevail because it's important for these young men to see that it's important, the job that Detective Jones did to capture him and Mr. Lawrence. All these things were important into getting where we're at today. But I just wanted you to know that you might have destroyed a couple lives, but you really destroyed your own worse than you did ours. We've got each other. You've got nobody anymore. And that's it, Your Honor.
All right, well, thank you. All right, Mr. Brown, is there anything you'd like to say before I impose the sentence agreed upon?
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to convey my sincerest apologies to the family. I wish there was something I could have done to prevent it or take the bullet or whatever, but at the time there was nothing I could do. After the fact was when I got brought into this, and I wish I was stronger to turn my brother in or get him to come and turn himself in like I asked him to do, but he got scared. He was drinking, and there's not a whole lot I could have done. I wish I could have done something better. To the family, I am sorry.
All right, well, Mr. Brown, you were convicted in a plea to the crime of accessory after the fact to a felony, namely murder in this case. There is a sentence agreement here consistent with the sentencing guidelines, and I'm going to sentence you consistent with the agreement. You are placed on probation as recommended here in the pre-sentence report for a period of 5 years. The first year of your sentence will be in the Wayne County Jail, although you will get credit for 200 days already served, and other orders of probation which will apply when you've completed your jail sentence are that you're to make restitution to the crime victim in this case, or the family, the survivors of the victim, in the amount of $9,827.78. Also, you are to pay a crime victim's assessment fee in the amount of $130, a supervision fee in the amount of $600, which you can pay at the rate of $10 per month. I'm ordering you to pay court costs in the amount of $1,300. You can pay that over time as well. And finally, are you appointed indeed?
Yes.
Appointed $400 in attorney's fees, which can be also paid in equal monthly installments. I'm also going to order, although this is easier said than done, I realize, but we want you to make genuine efforts to find and maintain legitimate employment, at least 30 hours per week, because of those financial obligations that I've just imposed on you. And you're to provide your field agent with verification of employment, or at the very minimum, verification of your efforts to attain employment. And if you do get a job, don't quit or get fired, or you'll be in violation of your probation. There is a recommendation here which was not part of the plea agreement, but I think it's obviously a laudable order of probation, and I'm going to make it a part of the probation order that you participate in intensive counseling addressing the within offense. Now, that means your field agent will decide, your probation officer will decide where, when, how, and how often you get counseling. But it's our belief, based on the nature of this crime, that you would benefit from counseling at the discretion of your field agent. So your field agent will tell you what to do, and when he or she tells you what to do, you do it. All right. Any other orders of probation here, counsel, for the people that...
No, Judge, I'll just note for the record that this plea was also subject to an agreement for special consideration.
Right, which is no longer necessary here, but it was important at the time of the plea. All right, so Mr. Brown, you've got a right to ask the Michigan Court of Appeals to review your plea and sentence in this case. They don't have to, but you can ask. And if you're unable to afford a lawyer will be appointed for you at public expense, and the lawyer will be provided with a copy of the transcript of today's proceedings and anything else out of the court file that the lawyer may need in order to manage your appeal. You're going to be given a form to sign in which you acknowledge receipt of the rights that I just gave you. It's a copy of that form that must be filed with the clerk of this court within 42 days of today's date if you intend to appeal and ask for a court-assigned attorney. All right. Mr. Brown, fairly well, and good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Are you ready, Mr. Edson? Okay.
2 minutes?
This case number 1606885, People State of Michigan versus Wesley Brown. This man is here for sentencing. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. William Lawrence on behalf of the people.
Jeffrey Edison on behalf of my client, Your Honor, Wesley Brown.
All right, Mr. Edison, have you had a chance to go over the pre-sentence report with your client, and if so, are there any amendments, deletions, or corrections to be made?
I have had the opportunity to read and review the pre-sentence report. There are no objections to the factual contents of the report.
Okay. The guidelines are pegged at 180 to 300. Do either of you have any reason to dispute that?
Judge, 180 to 300 is the correct guideline range. The only variable that I believe should have been scored that wasn't was OV-19, which reflects threats to the administration of justice. The court knows in this case the defendant used his brother and worked with his brother to attempt to cover up the crime afterwards. So I think that should be scored at 15, but that's not going to change the range. The range is going to remain 180 to 300 in any event.
Okay. I might have to engage in some judicial fact-finding on that. I don't think that was part of the plea, was it?
No.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, maybe to be cautious, we'll leave it the way it is.
Very well, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody here from the family that wishes to speak to the court?
Yes, there is, Your Honor. And I'll note the court, as part of the pre-sentence report, received a lengthy letter from the mother of the deceased, Carrie
Several
Valverito.
letters, actually.
Yeah.
I did. And I've read them, of course.
And then, in addition to that, Your Honor, there is one individual who would like to speak.
He's more than welcome. Thank you. All right. State your name for the record and your relationship to the case or the deceased, please.
My name is Alan Warringer, and my best friend.
Okay. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. When failing the loss of someone who was genuinely kind, consistently caring, and knew how to value the truly important things in life, it makes you feel helpless and angry that it was outside your grasp to stop such a horrible thing from happening. When you're left only to feel remorse and anger at losing a loved one in such an unjust way, you are left with no option but to rely on the legal system to earn some type of justification in the knowledge that the person responsible for taking an innocent man's life will be sentenced accordingly to fit his crimes. I believe that the legal system was put into place for cases exactly like this. Excuse me, sorry. That humans capable of such inhumane acts would be justly tried and convicted, and the victims of the families would find justice and faith in the legal system there to protect them. With the knowledge that men like this could be released before the age of his victim's mother, or in reverse, released before his daughter even reaches the age that her father was murdered, it changes the outlook and the purpose of the legal system. Inhumane men and women are getting shortened sentences through deals and bargains, while individuals committing lesser crimes are serving larger sentences without even an offer at smaller amounts of time. My faith in the system has been greatly tested when it has come to this. For me to have to stand to be heard in a courtroom for a man that we all loved and still mourn, the loss of him was great. I believe the legal system was to stand up to be our voices against brutal acts of violence such as this. I now fear that more people can look at cases like this and feel that it's okay to further your cruelty by mutilating and disposing of another human body because they can possibly be out in 25 years. In my eyes, that is only further motivation for despicable people to not feel the purposeful and much needed fear of justice that our legal system is supposed to provide. After shooting Michael, Wesley could have done somewhat of an honorable thing and turned himself in. He didn't. At any time, Wesley could have stopped mutilating his so-called friend and showed even 1 ounce of dignity by turning himself in. And again, he didn't. Instead, he chose to commit crime after crime by disposing and burning a man that didn't deserve to be taken from this world, and then sucking his own family into this sickening and horrifying crime. Even after all of this, he still took the cowardly and criminal way out and went into hiding to figure out his next step. How can I trust a system that allows men like this a chance at better justice than the victims' families? Michael will never get another chance at life. His daughter will always have to live off the stories of those that loved him enough to make sure at least his memory lives on. His mother will always have to remember the way that her son was taken from her. The only thread being left to us is the hope that Wesley gets true justice for what he's shown himself to be capable of. Why would this type of person be allowed to unremorsefully take a life and still have a chance for one? Did he not willingly throw his life away the moment he took someone else's, when it could have been avoided through so many other methods? I would like to still believe that our justice system is capable of providing closure and fairness to the victims that it was created for, and the criminals it was meant to protect us from. So many memories of Mike that I could share of him as an artist. I could go on and on. Me and Mike worked as a high-low driver. He got me the job. I needed some help financially and turned me in the right direction. We would save money, work on music together, and create for hours. We knew nothing but taught ourselves everything. He watched me become a father, and my wife become a mother, and he always been there for my son. My son looked at him as an uncle, sometimes maybe a big brother. Mike would always tell me how lucky I was that I had that love in my life, and that's what he wanted. 4 years ago, I watched him get that chance to become a father, and he was scared he would fall in love with a girl that he couldn't save, and that really did a number on his protector complex. See, he was a protector of the weak. He would befriend them in an attempt to build them up, and so he did with his daughter's mother. He tried his best, but when Zayla was born, he made the right decision to protect her. And he came to me about custody, and as a father, he made the right decision, and he won custody of his daughter. And he himself bloomed. He was the best that little girl could ask for in a father, and she was the best thing for him. He had found true happiness. I take comfort only in knowing that he experienced that before he was taken from us. I know his one reason for existence was to keep Zayla safe and secure, both physically and emotionally, and this coward stole that right from him. Now he must rely on the people he cared for, that he earned respect with, that he worked on building true relationships with, which in these times is hard. To never break a bond over 19 years is something to be said, and that's just my relationship with him. Never have I introduced him to anyone and regretted it. It was a true honor to call him my best friend. I am one of many, but lucky enough to be one of only, I thought, a few allowed to speak here in court today. And all the time I knew Mike, I only heard Wesley's name one time. Me and Mike had plans, and he said an old friend needed him. He felt sympathy. Wesley's brother had supposedly killed himself. Although knowing Wesley's true nature, I question that these days. Curly was always empathetic in nature, a protector of the weak. He felt bad for Wesley, something I'm not sure he has ever felt. I would like to close with a final statement. We, the few here to speak on Mike's behalf, ask that you be the hand of justice. And look past the defense and at the truly horrific acts that took place after killing, and judge accordingly. There is no happy ending for Mike's family and friends, and especially his 4-year-old daughter. We ask that you provide as much of the safety and security to her that he will never be able to. She should never fear that her father's murderer is celebrating a release from prison. His mother should leave this earth knowing that she fought for her son in life and death, and provide us, his friends, and every citizen of this state faith in our legal system. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Lawrence, anything more you wish to say?
Obviously, Your Honor, there's nothing I can add to that. I would just note, Judge, that the charge in this case, of course, was open murder as opposed to first-degree murder. The sentencing guidelines, as noted in the pre-sentence report, are 15 to 25 years. So this sentence is at the very top of the sentencing guidelines, and we would ask that the court sentence in accordance with that.
Okay. Yeah, and I might just add, for the benefit of the victim's family here, who apparently many members of which are not happy happy with the outcome in this case. Of course, as a judge, an impartial referee in these matters, I'm not always made aware of, usually not, and usually shouldn't be made aware of all of the facts and circumstances and elements that go into the negotiation of a plea and sentence agreement. But I have faith in the lawyers who participate in this system, faith based on my observing numerous cases that come before me every day, day after day, for the 16 years that I've been on the bench. I have faith in the lawyers that participate in the system to evaluate these cases justly and sensibly, and to arrive at the outcomes that they arrive at, if it means a plea and sentence agreement instead of a trial. For people that think that this is a light sentence and one that might encourage the commission of crimes, such as the one defendant was convicted of, I should remind you all that the defendant is 36 years old. He's not even going to be eligible for parole consideration until he's, 61 years old, and even then he could be in prison until he's 86. So anybody who thinks this is a light sentence or a sentence that encourages the commission of crimes like this really isn't thinking through the realities of this sentence. So, I wish you felt better about the outcome of this case. I understand the anger that you feel resulting from the loss you sustained, and I am somewhat familiar with the facts of the case based on my reading of the pre-sentence report. It was a tragic and obviously avoidable situation, and I'm confident that the outcome today is one that is consistent with the facts of the case and the law that applies, and everybody's best sense of how justice is best achieved here. So, Mr. Brown, is there anything you wish to say before I impose the sentence?
No.
As a result of your conviction by a plea to the crime of second-degree murder, you are remanded to the custody of the Michigan Department of Corrections for a prison term of no fewer than 25 years and no more than 50 years. You'll get credit for 196 days that you've awaited today's sentence. You have a right to ask the Michigan Court of Appeals to review your plea and sentence in this case. They don't have to review it, but you have a right to ask. And if you're unable to afford a lawyer, the lawyer will be appointed for you at public expense, and the lawyer will be provided with a copy of a transcript of today's proceedings and anything else out of the court file that the lawyer may need in order to manage your appeal. You're going to be given a form to sign in which you acknowledge receipt of those rights. A copy of that form that must be filed with the clerk of this court within 42 days of today's date if you intend to appeal and ask for a court-assigned attorney. All right, sir, fare thee well and good luck.
Judge, did the court order the restitution on Mr.
Oh,
Brown as well?
I don't think I did, and I should, in addition to all the usual okay, it does not appear in the pre-sentence report. What is the, it was a sort of an odd amount, the same amount that I assessed against the other defendant, right?
Yeah, it's joint and several with Adam Brown, Judge. It's
All right,
$9,000.
it was not in the plea form, nor is it in the pre-sentence report, but Mr. Edison, I don't think there's any escaping the...
Yeah, no objection.
Okay. You tell me the amount for the record. It was $9,000 what?
$9,827.78.
All right, that amount will be assessed in restitution against this defendant, and one or the other or both of the defendants are responsible for that cost. All right, thank you.